Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have any audio for this? Anybody can hear me? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is the 27th of June, and it is a Tuesday. So, this has certainly been an interesting morning. My goodness, we've had a number of things going on. Let's see. The indices have pretty much stayed the same. ES looked like it was a little bit stronger to me this morning than the others, but I know I just glanced at some of the chat in here. I think some people got a few ticks off of NQ. It's been both directions this morning, and not not in a trend. It's in a range, and it's just bouncing back and forth and back and forth. For those of you who trade that 6E, especially early in the morning, my goodness, I bet you had a nice trade this morning on that. The dollar sold off against the euro. The euro is just screaming up. So the pair traders on that pair should have had really, I don't know on Nadex if you could get in with any pricing that you would want when it gets that active, but just very, very interesting. And we've had crude oil has decided to recover a little bit. It's been in an upward move that we did. If you waited for this second E of the morning right here, I mean, let's see, what time was that? Early this morning. This first one was about 5:30, but the second one did really do very well. And it looks like to me that crude oil may have bottomed around that 42.20-ish thing that it fiddled around down there for about 4 or 5 days, and now it seems like it wants to move on up. But the Brent futures gapped up at the open. I thought they might fill that gap, and they still might, but they showed no sign of wanting to fill that gap this morning. Anyway, the big thing that I saw this morning, and I'm still kind of sitting here, I can't hardly believe it. You just don't see this very often. But as the dollar sold off, the yen really sold off, and bonds. I'll show you my bond chart because this is something that you just don't see very often. It's kind of a simple-minded little chart here, but this thing has been at this mission it's been on since about, I don't know, midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning. What time did it leave settlement? About 4 o'clock. About 4:15 or so, and it just I've seen bonds go to the 3 deviation, both directions, up or down, several times. It's not uncommon. It's unlike the other markets. It can go to the 3 deviation, but this thing, I mean, it broke that. It did put in this. It was here for quite a while on this particular bar, but it still keeps going down. And these are big weekly magnets I have on here. It just kind of makes you wonder, golly, what's going to happen? So I was a little afraid to take this. At first, I thought, well, I don't know if it's really going to go from right here at this big magnet down to the 3 deviation. And if it does, it might not last, but oh, I wish I had taken that. But that's just a case of it can't go down forever. I mean, can it? But what we all need to pay attention to now is in an hour about at 1 o'clock, Mrs. Yellen is supposed to speak. And that may turn this dollar around, and it could cause gold as well as bonds to move. But I'd be real careful at 1 o'clock because depending on what she has to say, uh, sometimes it's just ho hum and it's already baked into the cake. But it's not worth putting on a trade right in front of her, and that is flagged as a high alert for the U.S. dollar. So that'll be at 1 o'clock today. And let's see, tomorrow we're going to have crude oil inventory, which we have every Wednesday at 10:30. And tomorrow at 9:30 for the people that like to trade the Forex and even the futures on those currencies. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, there's a whole lot of stuff going on that will affect those markets. Um, it's these big central bankers for Canada, for Europe, for the UK, and for Japan. They are all going to be speaking tomorrow morning at 9:30. So I would be putting on trades right at 9:30, and keep in mind 9:30 is the U.S. New York Open. So 9:30 tomorrow morning could get a little bit much. Just stay aware. I mean, if your indicators give you good setups and good signals, obviously you take them, but don't get blindsided by it, because that is a lot of news for the markets to absorb, depending on what all those folks have to say. And keep in mind, they tend to follow along with what the U.S. has to say, so that's another reason to pay special attention to what Mrs. Yellen says at 1 o'clock. And the rest of them tend to follow the U.S., and we did get that 25 basis point raise the last time. They're talking about maybe doing that again next month, so maybe she'll shed some light on that. Anyway, we still don't have these volatility indexes getting very excited about anything. In fact, none of them are. So we'll just have to wait and see if anything turns up. I don't see anything else. If you're new, this time between right now and about 1 o'clock is a really good time to post your charts and get some extra help and get some questions answered, because I think most of us in this room are through trading, certainly until we see what is going to happen at 1 o'clock. So this is kind of a quiet downtime, and there's several people in here with a lot of experience to help you out. So take advantage of that. This has been my view from my work.